My pedagogical method is shock and awe. So I'm going to barrage you with a plethora of tidbits and facts, and hopefully some of them inspire you to go down rabbit holes of your own and do some research. Everything that I say today is in my book. I believe it's chapter 7 on yoga, and hopefully you'll pick that up too. It's how to survive your childhood now that you're an adult. All right, so I front-loaded this presentation so that we can go through the yoga part for those who are only interested in yoga. And then I'm going to talk about authenticity and then show you how yoga is one of the tools that we use to be our authentic selves and find out what that authentic self is and what it's telling us to do. So, as you know, yoga comes from Hinduism, and the Vedas were the original way that they were communicated. Originally, yoga was just 5 guys sitting around a fire screaming to invoke God, and then it became codified in the Upanishads period, and people learned how to sit and meditate, and then this whole other thing grew out of that we can discuss at some other time. I'll talk about it in the present section, but essentially one of the key texts is the Bhagavad Gita, and I take away from it that we have to follow our Dharma. Okay? So what is Dharma? Dharma is the principle that orders the universe, and then that's the macro level. And then on the micro level, it's how you relate to the universe. So I find the best way to convey that in English is the word vocation. Voco in Latin means calling. There's a singer from a band named U2. He chose the name Bono Vox, good voice. So what is the universe calling you to do? And that is your Dharma. Now, Joseph Campbell famously said, follow your bliss. And we can give a lot of other examples. Elaine Scarry wrote some books on this about morality and how we have to tune into our intuition and things like that. But for our purposes, Sonia Lubemerski's work in The How of Happiness is most pertinent. So in that book, she cites a study from Germany where anybody who has a job, whatever you do for money, you're going to be miserable. And then anybody who has a career, which is a job over a long time, whether you're an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor, you do the same thing for 40, 50 years, you're going to be slightly less miserable, but miserable nonetheless. And then they found that the only people who were happy were the people who knew their vocations, their callings. What are you doing on planet Earth? You are non-existent for billions of years. You're here for a very, very short time, and then you're going to be non-existent for billions of years again. So how are you going to make the most of it, right? All right. So in Hinduism, there's 6 darshanas, viewpoints. Just like in Christianity, there's Presbyterian and Protestant and all these different viewpoints. In Hinduism, they all dealt with the same issues. What is the nature of the divine? What is the nature of the individual soul? How was the world created? Everybody has a creation myth. And then how do we attain freedom, liberation, joy, happiness? So the first one is, the first darshana is Samkhya, and they have Purusha and Prakriti and the 3 gunas. The second one is yoga, but it's primarily comes from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. And you probably know from this course, Bhakti Yoga. My friend Jayutal had a concert yesterday, and that's Bhakti Yoga, devotional, chanting the name of God, like what was originally done during the Vedic period. And then there's Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Mantra Yoga. I'm a devotee of Amma. I have a mantra, and I chant my mantra every morning, right? And then Hatha Yoga, Hatha, sun, moon, melding the opposites and purifying the body through that. So the third one is Nyaya. It's kind of defunct. We don't need to talk about it. And then the last 3 are some sorts of Vedanta. Dvaita Vedanta, Vashishta Dvaita Vedanta, and then Advaita Vedanta. So for our purposes, I believe that the birth of yoga is Advaita Vedanta. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. All right, to explain Advaita Vedanta, there's 5 terms. One is Brahman, and in graduate school, Barbara Holdridge explained to me that the best English translation is that without attributes. Essentially, if you can think it, it's not it. If I tell you to imagine infinity, you close your eyes and you can't. You're going to get a placeholder like the cosmos or the ocean or something like that. But there are things beyond what our brains and our minds can conceive. So that without attributes is the only way to put it into language. Atman is the second term. In the Hindu text, it's always a capital S, self. So in our culture, we can think of it as our higher self, right? Soul is probably more accurate. And then Samsara is the wheel of carnation, wheel of reincarnation. So I studied parapsychology at Duke University in 1996, and I was fascinated by Dr. Ian Stevenson's work. He was the head of psychiatry at the University of Virginia, and he recorded thousands of cases of children who remember their past lives. Supposedly only 25% of Americans believe in reincarnation, but just try it on. Karma is the law of action and reaction, as you know. And then Maya, this is the most interesting to me. So I like the word in English, illusory. Not illusion, but illusory, because there's this quality of ephemerality, that everything that we perceive through our 5 senses will pass. So that's the best way, I believe, to conceive of Maya. What we receive through our 5 senses, and then our minds chunk into narratives, into stories, into categories, right? So that's Maya to me. Okay, so if you espouse Advaita Vedanta, as I do, then the tools of yoga and meditation were devised and designed to help you transcend Maya so that you could réaliser in French. The best word in English, it's still realize, but it's not the definition that you know. Become one, réaliser, realize that you are God, that you are divine. Again, the tools of yoga and meditation were devised and designed to help you transcend Maya, go to the other side of your thoughts so that you could realize that you are the universe, you are mystery, you are Brahman. Atman, the self, is at one with Brahman, and it's obfuscated by Maya. Okay, so that's why we do yoga. It's not for better abs. It's not for better butts. It's to realize your inner divinity. Okay?